creating cultural awareness and understanding. This is Culture Clique. Culture Clique is written and produced by KQAL FM on the campus of Winona State University.
Today on Culture Clique, we kick off the Minnesota Cannabis Legalization Series with Christian, Elliot, and Maureen from Growers Home. Growers Home is an indoor hydroponics and organic retail store located in downtown Winona. Along with their growing products, they host events like Puff and Paint and basic cannabis growing classes. Today we talk about what they do at Growers Home, some basics of growing cannabis, and the new Minnesota cannabis legislation. I'm Ryan Flanders with Growers Home, today on Culture Clique. Okay, so we are here at Growers Home tonight, here with Christian, Elliot, and Maureen. How are you guys doing tonight?
Good.
Great. Pretty good.
So why don't we just kick it off? If one of you could just kind of say what you guys do here at Growers Home.
Well, we sell indoor garden supply products, right? So we've got all the stuff you need to grow anything inside your house. We've got tents, we've got lights, we've got soils in different mediums, we have seeds for sale, all that fun stuff.
Okay, all right, yeah. So more than just, so this is going on the cannabis kind of series. So it's more than just cannabis here that you guys are selling.
It is.
Yeah, I saw pumpkin seeds up there, beet seeds, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and house plants and various things like that too.
Kind of diving into the cannabis side of it, is that the proper term that you guys prefer, or is that kind of, cannabis is the way to go? Is there a reasoning for that?
For me, one of the reasons I use cannabis so much is that there's a negative connotation to the word marijuana, which goes back all the way to when prohibition of it started. It's actually kind of a racist term that has to do with when it came from Mexico. So that's why I prefer to use it.
It's not something where there is any laws or legislation so much, like how you're able to advertise.
There may be something like that, but that's not why I choose that. And they use that term as well.
It is more accurate. It's the actual name of the plant, you know.
So then, cannabis-wise, what do you guys sell here?
Cannabis-wise, well, we sell seeds. For sure. And then all the products to propagate and then nutrients to grow them. Like I said, and then all the other stuff that I mentioned beforehand, which just goes into growing any kind of plant. I would say that there is a little bit of a focus on, so the types of nutrients that we have, the types of soils that we have, they are geared a little bit more towards that cannabis side of things, but that doesn't mean that you're not going to find something that you can't grow a garden with here. So
it's universal kind of stuff. It's still a plant. So what made you guys want to start this business, or kind of inspired you for this?
I think we just saw a need. The closest places up until legalization has been Twin Cities area where you can get this kind of thing. So, it's a hobby we enjoy, and hoping that there's enough other people around interested in it too.
Yeah, helping every customer that comes in be successful in their grow.
And so, digging through your guys' Facebook a little bit, you guys are pretty decently experienced and educated in this.
I've been gardening pretty much my entire life. It's really no different than like the way it grows. It's similar to a pepper plant. It's kind of funny I say that. It's like, yeah, it's got the same grow period as like your herbs and your peppers. And
I've been around plants ever since I was a kid. My mom was a gardener. Now my wife is. So we've got loads of plants at home. I think growing cannabis is like the smallest portion of our plant lives. It's just a legal one now.
And so for you guys, what is the laws or any regulations for selling cannabis, for how you guys are able to sell it, how much you're able to sell, how much you can have in inventory?
So when it comes to the plant itself, you can't sell anything that has a certain percentage of THC in it. which I think is above 0.03%.
Something real small.
Yeah. So seeds themselves don't have that level of THC. I don't even know if they have any THC in them. If they do, it's very, very minimal. So you technically have been able to buy seeds across the United States. But now that it's actually legal in Minnesota as a state, we've had to get a seed license and then follow certain rules that they require for the way that seeds are labeled and then sold. Other than that, there's not really clear regulation on selling other things that the plant's made out of, or that so for example, clones, right, which are plants that are propagated from a cannabis plant. As far as I understand it, there's still a small amount of THC in it. It's below that number, but there's not a lot of legislation and rules around how that works yet, right? So for you to get a license from the state, they won't allow anybody to have any other licenses that are actually related to cannabis until they have finalized all those rules, which they're telling everybody won't happen until 2025. That's why you can do whatever you want at your own house, but as far as a legal business entity, we can't sell cannabis or sell like a fully mature plant or anything like that until they have finished laying out the rules for 2025.
And so, do you know any, like, where that is at right now, or is that kind of all in the...
Well, so I am on part of their email blasts that go out to people that were interested in providing feedback to the state. So I think they're on round number 6 or 7 at this point, where they've just kind of asked really generic questions about the market and where people see hurdles or issues or have concerns, so that we can share with legislatures where we see pockets of problems, and then they can go in and fix it and kind of create legislation around those issues.
So yeah, so the legislators are working with you guys, like specifically with you, a lot.
They're asking, they've asked for that feedback, and I was paying attention, and yeah, I got involved.
Okay. And so then at this point, are you seeing if they're very receptive to your feedback at all?
It's unclear at this point. They're not giving a whole lot of feedback on what all the answers are that they're getting or what they're actually putting into place. They're just, thank you for the information, we'll get back to you kind of thing.
They're like, okay, we'll take that into consideration, and maybe just throwing it right out and doing their own thing still.
I'm sure they're taking it and putting it in some kind of an eye chart.
Yeah, they have a couple spreadsheets somewhere, right? Okay, and so then shifting to people wanting to buy cannabis and growing a cannabis plant themselves, what are kind of the rules for them in that sense? Are they allowed to grow as much as they would like, or no? Yeah.
No, they're allowed to have 4 mature plants and 4 immature. And then, they can have their seeds. What is the pounds that they can have of flowers?
I believe you can have 2 pounds of cannabis flower in your home.
2 ounces,
2 ounces
on your body.
person in public. There are other things for concentrates I don't really know about, edibles. But yeah, anybody can grow 8 total plants, 4 mature. Yeah.
And so then what would be the difference between a mature plant and an immature plant?
The mature plant is flowering. Your immature, it doesn't have any flowers on it. There's no buds growing. It's in the veg state.
Yeah. So then what happens then? So you can have 4 immature, 4 mature. Is that then for when the mature plants flower and produce the product then? Are you done with those plants?
Yep, and then that just goes into your dried flower. Okay. So that goes into like what you can have as the cannabis, like your pounds and all that.
Your personal use.
Well, I was just going to say, you can also process it. I'm not sure what the rules are around that, at least as far as giving it to other, like gifting it or whatever. But I believe you can process it however you want in your own home. Just not sure how the possession works that way. So you can turn it into things like edibles or other smokables.
Just can't sell it in a sense.
You can't
Yes.
sell it, but you can gift a clone to somebody. You just can't sell it. You can gift them the dried flower, or you just can't sell it. You know?
Yeah.
And so then, kind of pivoting towards your guys' events that you put on here. So you guys do paint and puff, and you hold the beginners growers classes, correct? And do you guys do any other events or planning any at the moment?
Right now, the only other event that we're looking at doing is high yoga. So we have a yoga instructor that's going to come in and go through a class. We're trying to figure out how we want to handle the cannabis portion of that. We'll probably just expect everybody to bring their own. That's kind of what we've done with some of the other classes.
And so in that, because the rules are saying a lot of like not in a public place, but as a private business, you can invite people in then and for an event like that and say, yes, we're allowing you to do this.
Yeah. And let's be clear too, we're not doing it in the building, right? Everything is happening external. We have a backyard. It's private. It's blocked in, so people can go out there and consume, and then they can come in and then be a part of those activities. And we don't do that during the like growers classes or anything like that because we want everybody to remember what they're learning. So yeah.
Yeah. So you have kind of the more recreational events and the more educational events for that sense. Okay. And so what really inspired like the paint and puff or like the in the works hot yoga? What made you guys go, this is something we should do?
A big thing was getting the community in here, being involved in the community, and just letting everybody come in and have something fun to do. That's
Yeah, we wanted people to experience the store, and thought that was a good way to invite people to see it, besides just another garden store, you know.
And so what kind of demographic would you say you guys get for those kind of events?
wide range.
Yeah, I mean it's really across the margins. I would say the paint and puff has been primarily kind of a girls' night kind of thing. So it's largely female population. Although the first one we had, there were some guys there. The growers class though it's anywhere from young people to old people and everything in between.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. From what I saw the other night when I was here for that, when I sat in for a little bit of that, I was very surprised at just the range of people just within this area that were interested in it.
It's been hard to identify our market because it's a wide range of people that come through, people you wouldn't necessarily expect.
Yeah, I believe there's a farmer too. Were you guys able to speak to somebody who's planning on growing at scale? But in speaking to them, what you have gotten from them, their thoughts and their feelings going forward with the legalization?
Sure. He actually came in after the class and talked to me a little while because he's also interested in doing hydroponics for other vegetables. Mm-hmm. So he had an old dairy farm, and he got rid of all of his cows several years ago and now has this big empty pole barn. And he is going to be growing like lettuce and herbs and things like that in an old Kratky system that he's basically making from scratch. And next to that, he's going to be growing some cannabis and trying to figure out how it works and what kind of a thing will work for him. And that, as far as I'm concerned, is an interesting market that we can start to talk about in the future, because working with those folks is definitely something that would be beneficial to all of us in the long run. Yeah.
So that's like kind of the market you would hope to get into, is something at scale like that. Would that be something you guys would do?
We're thinking about it.
Possibly, if when the time comes in a year when legislation all gets figured out, kind of thing. Yeah.
As far as I'm trying to analyze it right now just to understand how it would work. Yeah. Right? Because what we have is most of the stuff is primarily for home use, but you can buy all this stuff in massive bulk and then, use it in that kind of a setup. And
so then for you guys buying the cannabis in bulk, is that stuff that comes from within the state, or does it come sourced elsewhere?
I'm not talking about cannabis.
Oh, you're talking.
I'm talking like using certain kinds of mediums that you wouldn't normally use in some of your other farming, or using tables, because most farmers here grow outside.
Yes.
So, but when we're growing cannabis, you're going to have to find a way to grow it all year round. Otherwise, it's not going to be profitable. So, you're going to need setups that are indoors that have massive tables and structure and indoor lights and those kind of things. So that's what I mean about buying in bulk or buying at scale. Oh, okay. And then, providing that for the farmers.
The equipment more so.
More the equipment, and then like the stuff that they'll be using on a regular basis. Mm-hmm. As far as seeds, I'm not even sure how that works, honestly. Right now, all I know is that there's seed banks. You can buy them in bulk, and then resell the seeds, as long as you have your seed license.
Kind of pivoting back towards legalization of selling the actual cannabis plant product. For you guys, what would you like to kind of add to your store when that process is complete?
We're not sure.
You're not sure.
I'm sure. I don't know. We have huge plans to sell a lot of cannabis products. We're really focused on growing, home growing. I mean, if we get into commercial grows, great. Mm-hmm. But they would be the ones probably supplying dispensaries.
And part of the business plan was eventually maybe doing greenhouse and selling just plants in general. Mm-hmm. But if we did that, we'd definitely have to move to a different facility.
Yeah, it's a nice location here. It's a really cool.
It's a cute shop. But if we're going to be growing anything, really, it's going to take some work.
Yeah. A lot of things depend on the rule making that they're doing now. Between now and next year, hopefully, they get it done. Yeah. So.
Yeah, we've also talked about maybe helping home growers process some of their stuff, but again, it's all dependent on what that looks like and how it works.
For your guys' beginners growers classes, what are some of the topics that you touch on in those classes?
We go through everything from, what is a cannabis plant? How do you tell which ones are male or female? Nutrient needs, light needs, temperature, humidity.
Yeah, we touch a lot on environment. What does it need on a regular basis, and then the stages. What happens as it changes from the vegetative to the flowering. Most of it's very high level. We are going to be offering an advanced class that gets into more detail on how to take care of a cannabis plant, right? Mm-hmm. So the harvesting of it, doing those kinds of things.
Ask you one more question. For people who are interested in your business, where can they find you?
We're downtown, 164 East 3rd Street in Winona.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, guys. Thanks again to Christian, Elliot, and Maureen from Growers Home. To learn more about Growers Home, be sure to check out their shop on East 3rd Street in downtown Winona, or find them on Facebook, Instagram, or on their website, thegrowershome.com. To keep up with all things Winona and the surrounding area, tune into Culture Clique, Thursdays at 12:30, right here on 89.5 KQAL. I'm Ryan Flanders, and you just heard from Growers Home on Culture Clique.
Creating cultural awareness and understanding. You've been listening to Culture Clique. Support for Culture Clique is made possible by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund. Culture Clique is produced by KQAL-FM on the campus of Winona State University. For more information, look us up on the web at kqal.org. And thanks for listening to Culture Clique.